Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Meaghan Chitwood Live, powered by BNI. In this episode, we are talking to Samata Shah with Kopri Promotions. She does promotional products in Birmingham, Alabama. Samata came to the United States 34 years ago with $20 in her pocket, her husband and two daughters in tow. She paused on her career. She did not start her career until after she felt her daughters were strong, independent women. So this is a little bit of a different story, starting a little bit later than what we've heard from others as we have been interviewing. But she started her promotional products company basically with a catalog in hand. And now she has her own shop with her own multi-purpose machines. She can put a logo on just one item, which sets her apart from her competition. She wants to partner with her clients so you can have a one-stop shop for everything promotions. Enough for me. Let's go ahead and get started. So this show is about our BNI heroes, and not only our BNI heroes, but just the everyday business owners who are trying to make it happen by beating the streets every day and continuing to grow their businesses. Every Friday at 10 a.m. Central Time, we come to you live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And you can search for BNI Alabama or Meaghan Chitwood to find us, or you can see the replays on Instagram and LinkedIn. So, Samata, thank you so much for being here with me this morning. So let's get started with, you started with $20 in your pocket coming to the United States. Where did you end up landing?
Yeah, so I came with my husband in 1987, and we came on my husband's brother-sister visa application, and based on that we came. So we came to Charlotte, North Carolina, stayed with my sister-in-law for almost about 3 months. The ticket to come to USA was also on a borrowed money, so it took us a year to pay back that money. So yeah, it was an experience to coming to USA.
So you were I guess in pursuit of the American dream.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
Excellent.
Yep.
So in 1993, you landed in Birmingham. What brought you to Birmingham?
So my husband went to school and he got his master's, and I worked, and we both, after he finished his master's degree, he got a job in Birmingham, Alabama. So we packed up our bag and came to Alabama.
That must have been a little bit of a culture shock, I would say. It's a culture shock from people from the United States, so I can't imagine what it might have felt like.
Yeah, it was a little bit difficult to understand the slang, how the people talk. And so, and now some of my family members and friends say, hey, your accent has all kind of mixed up in it.
You have a little bit of Southern, you have this little bit of Southern US in there as well. That is great.
Yeah.
That is so funny. That is so funny.
Yeah.
So you put your dreams of having your own business on hold, really, because you're raising your daughters. Talk a little bit about that. What were you doing? If you were doing anything professionally? Yeah, talk a little bit about that.
So I am a textile designer by education. So when I came to USA, I worked with a textile company. When we moved to Alabama, we had 2 daughters, and I just wanted to give all the opportunity in the world I wanted to give them that. And so my business was like a part-time, on the shelf type of deal. and full-time mom. So, but I'm a workaholic person. I wanted to be a professional, having a career. So I kept on doing a little bit, stayed in the lane, so I know everything about my work, my career, but not full time, So until the girls were grown up and were there on their own, I was like, okay, it's time.
So what have your daughters thought about well, tell us about the trajectory of how your business has grown, and then what do your daughters think of that?
Oh my gosh. I think if I say my daughters are my most inspiration, because like when you have children, you take them to school and they are itty bitty people. They go to school and they participate in debate tournaments or dance and all that, and I'm like, if that 5-year-old or a 10-year-old can go on the stage and do things in front of other people, by God, I can do it. So I watched them and I was like, if they can do it, I can do it. So my daughters are my biggest inspiration. So and they really support me in every single thing. I always ask them everything. When I do something, I say, have I done this right? I run by them. My family is my most important part of my life, that even in my business. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. I do the same thing. My children started their first presentations in school in the first grade. And I was like, oh, they're going to do so much better than I did, because at least they're getting the experience early and it's not it's not too scary. Absolutely. Yeah. So tell us how did you pick promotional items? Why was that the business that you decided to select?
So I'm a graphic artist. So I started working from home, when and part time doing graphic design work. And then I was like, okay, we need something other than graphic design. So I bought a small sign making machine, believe it or not, and I started making signs from home. Then kept on growing, and I was like, okay, it might be a great idea to have a promotional product. So I became a distributor, selling from the catalogs, and become a distributor of so many manufacturers. So that's how the promotional products was added on.
Yeah. And then just how has it grown over the last 24 years? Because you've been doing this for 24 years.
Yeah. I when I started when I added the promotional product part to the business, I reached out to hospitals, local hospitals, and banks and all that, and because they constantly buy these products. So and then when I started to try to sell to small business, I realized that they are looking for smaller quantity versus the large hospitals, and then they would need larger quantities. So that was the biggest thing. So I kept on adding things to my business. I was like, okay, there has to be a way for me to do small quantity. And I started doing a lot of apparel, like uniforms. Some of the manufacturing and industrial companies were my customers. So I was like, okay, that gave me a lot of screen printing and embroidery work, So one thing after another, I kept adding, a part in my business. So now we do screen printing, we do embroidery, we do promotional product. We bought a large sign making machine so we can do large format signs. And yeah.
So you and I had a one-to-one during the COVID time. So it was virtual. And I was thinking about, I was like, oh yeah, I've been to her shop. And I was like, no, I haven't been to her shop. You walked a camera around for me so that I can see everything. But it's impressive. So for the last year and a half, you have your shop, and you've got some pretty good sized machines in there to be able to do really, I guess I could bring in anything and have you put a logo on it at this point. Yeah.
Yes. So what I wanted to do is, like you mentioned earlier, I wanted to make a one-stop shop. So customer comes to here, whether it's a small business or a large business, they come to my shop. We can do from graphic design, means creating a logo, to their, to their magnet for their trucks, or if they have 5 employees, if they have 2 employees, or if they have 100 employees, we can provide them uniforms, and obviously sign for their shop, and when they are doing a trade show or promoting their business, we can definitely help them with a promotional product. So I wanted to make that as a one-stop shop. And in last year and a half, with the help of a lot of organization, including BNI has been a biggest role in my success. So we added all the equipment. So I have 4 different equipments, and one equipment it's a UV printer. So it prints on just about any kind of surface. So it can print on wood, it can print on glass, it can print on metal, and it let me print one item if I want to. So yeah.
So for other promotional items, people in Birmingham that don't have access to that, you actually could be a pretty good referral partner if they need something in a pinch as well. Absolutely. I love, my friend Robin Shuckman calls it co-opetition. So in theory, like at first glance, you look like competition, but you have something special that you can offer. So sometimes it's, oh, you go do that part, and and you have access to doing super small quantities. So that's really interesting. Yeah, nice. So you brought up BNI. So when you were first introduced to the concept of BNI, what problem were you trying to solve?
Okay, so you have to remember, I come from a totally different culture, right? I was raised and born in India and came here and not speaking very good English either. I knew how to read and write, watch news, and learn by watching how they are speaking. I learned how to speak. So one of that big struggle, once that was over, when I, try to do those first 15 years of selling. I'm not a salesperson. I'm a graphic designer. I didn't know how to sell. So few times people have told me on the phone that I think you need to learn first how to contact people and figure out who they are before you call. And I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? So, but when I joined BNI, that's when I learned that what is the networking all about, how to send your message across properly in a short time and accurate way. And that's what I got from BNI, actually.
How did BNI teach you how to communicate in a short amount of time very accurately? Kind of what was it that you learned from that?
There's a couple things. So first of all, those MSP training or BNI University. I mean, my MSP training was done by a master, the one that's talking right now, Meaghan Chitwood. Because I was fortunate enough to learn from you the MSP training, that where, you learn about how to do networking and all the things about business. And the other thing that I always learn is by watching my other fellow members, how they were standing up and how they were pitching their business and how they were selling. And when I did one-to-one, I would ask the jillion question that, how do I hire an employee? How do I keep my books? And how do I do networking? And CPAs. Oh my gosh, I have asked so many people. And before I bought my equipment, I mean, BNI members have been like my mentor, my guide. Like I'm telling you honestly, I could not be where I am without that.
Yeah. Your fellow BNI members helping you with all the expertise and the wealth of knowledge just being in the room.
Exactly. Yeah. Every time they stood up and talked, and I'm like, oh, that's what I need to do. And then I try to improve next time and next time and next time. So yeah.
Yeah. So what is different about BNI compared to other networking meetings that you've gone to?
So yeah, before I joined BNI, a couple of times I went to chamber meetings, and like a lot of people say you need to go to a chamber, and it's a great avenue to meet a lot of people. But as I said, short, brown Indian woman was sitting in the corner, not knowing anybody, and it was very difficult to have that confidence to go to a stranger and introduce myself, but when I came to BNI has an open circle policy. Means your circle stays open. Anyone can come in, talk to you, and that is what I really liked about it. It is not like you have a group of people that constantly talk. You have an open circle policy. So anyone who comes to visit you, they feel welcome, and I make a point about it that I want to make sure that whoever is a stranger, I'm going to go meet them and make them feel welcome.
Absolutely. So well into my BNI career, I was probably 10 years, not 10 years, maybe 5 years in, I decided to go to a chamber event in a place that I don't live. Yeah. It was in Florence, Alabama.
Yeah.
And I remember walking in and going like, I'm not going to know anybody. Hopefully a BNI member will show up, right? Because we know them, but I'm going to know no one. And I was like, okay, what advice would I give a BNI member? What advice would I give a BNI member? I said, I would tell them to act like a host and not a guest. So I went and stood by the door
Yes.
and I greeted everyone who walked through the door.
Exactly.
Florence, Alabama is very, very small. They clearly knew they had never seen me before. Like it was pretty obvious, but they were like, okay, like and shaking hands. But I remember the feeling of like, I remember the stomach churning feeling of that.
Exactly.
Being trained to do it, but still walking into a room where I knew I wasn't going to really know anyone.
Exactly.
And still, yeah, absolutely. So you still network a ton with the chambers and outside of BNI.
I do.
How has that experience changed for you since taking some of your BNI skills and applying it to the chamber?
So yeah, definitely. When I go to chamber, I don't feel shy. I don't sit in the corner. I talk to everybody, and I feel welcome because I know a lot of people there now.
Yeah.
You know, there are so many BNI members there, and I've been in this area for a long time that I made so many friends. You know, so yeah. And besides BNI, you know, when I go to women-owned business networking events or minority-owned business network, I'm a member of the Women Business Enterprise, which is a national organization, and also the Minority Owned, which is a national organization. I'm very active in that. So I took my knowledge of BNI networking. I went there, and with those two large corporations, you know, I mean organization, they introduced me to the large corporation, which now I felt confident enough to go in front of those corporations and talk about my business, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think it's one of the things that, yeah, I think it's one of the things that is now it's starting to really come to fruition. Like that's a real benefit, right?
Yes.
Because you do have people who care about you, who can look at you and say, okay, I get promotional items, but I don't understand this, or I don't understand that, or what do you mean when you say this? And just, I think the value of having people to try it out on, you know, can I try, like, let me try my presentation. Let me try my pitch. Let me try, and getting that feedback is really, really helpful as well.
Yeah.
So
let me tell you something.
Yeah.
WBENC, which is a national organization, they had a huge event in Detroit in 2018, I believe, and they had first time they had a pitch competition. Guess what? I participated in it, and I was nervous wreck, but I had practiced with all my BNI people, and you know, like it's the pitch was the biggest thing because I was in front of all this large corporation pitching my stuff, you know, with other competitor. But I could not have done that if I had not built that confidence before, you know. So
yeah, and the practice.
Yes.
So for those of you who are not part of BNI or have never heard of it, we actually stand up every week, right? And we present our businesses for anywhere from 30 seconds to 60 seconds. So you have that opportunity to stand up. And I say work it out because, you know, it can be nerve-wracking the first few times.
Yes, it can be nerve-wracking. That's right. First time when I visited the BNI chapter, I was like Cindy Edmonds, you know, with the Arc Realty. She had introduced me to BNI, and I went to visit, and the chapter was so welcoming. Oh my God, they were all so, and the morning started with such a joy and so much fun, and all the people over there were willing to help me, and I was like, that was the biggest thing, that I want to uplift other business people, just like they are doing to me, you know. So the giver's gain, the philosophy that BNI has is wonderful, you know. It's so simple. If you try to help someone else, they're going to help you back.
Absolutely. I think that is one of the most amazing, like, I know, like, you get the endorphin rush of helping other people, right? Like there's all this, you know, this anatomy that happens with it as well, but also in the amount of closed business we see. When people are really giving and really helpful, you say to yourself, oh, how can I help them? You know, because they've taught me so much.
And I want to say something about, see, I'm a business owner. I don't have a boss above me. But the accountability that BNI makes you do, like every week you say, I had a one-to-one with someone, or I had a referral, or I had thank you to close business, and someone else say that I had thank you to close, you know, from Samata. And that is the biggest joy you can have, that, hey, because of me, somebody else got some business, you know. And that accountability is what helps you, because it keeps you in discipline that, hey, I didn't do well last week, I need to get better next week.
Yeah, I think accountability is one of those things that most people, I mean, I even think the word is being kind of negative, like, but what we do is we give each other permission to hold each other
Yeah,
accountable, right?
exactly.
You're going to share your dreams with me and what
Yeah,
your goals are for your business.
yeah,
And then I'm going to come back to you and say, one, how can I help? But then also, how are you doing? How are you doing towards that particular goal as well?
yeah.
So you love the accountability. Say more about how that has been important to you as you've learned the success skills to keep your business going.
I mean, so let's say if I didn't do well this week, when I say when I did not do well this week, means when our meetings are Wednesday morning, right? And at the end of the meeting, we do, I have a moment. And so when I say I don't have power of one in my head, I was like, oh no, I didn't meet anyone. And that means if I didn't meet anyone, that means I really did not work my BNI. If a new member is joining or coming in, they're like, oh, I joined BNI, I'm going to get ton of business right away. Mm-mm. It doesn't work that way. You have to work at it. And that's how the accountability is making me work in to grow my business. That's
Yeah.
how I look at it, because I don't look at it as a negative that, oh no, there I can't get up and say this. No, that's going to wake me up and this is going to say, hey, do better next week. So.
Well, and one of the other things that I notice is if I don't have anything this week, it usually means I haven't been marketing my own business enough.
Exactly,
Right? Because
exactly,
I didn't meet a new person that could possibly
exactly.
be a referral, or I didn't meet a new
Mhm.
person who could possibly, even be a visitor if you want to introduce them to the idea. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's almost like, oh, I didn't do enough this week
right,
for
right,
my own business because I wasn't able to help anybody else with
right.
theirs either. Yeah.
And doing this every week is like every week you get a wake up call. You need to do it, because if you don't do it for your business, then who's going to do it, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like a
And
wake up call every Wednesday morning.
yeah, the weekly cadence, I think, is another thing that's somewhat misunderstood.
Yeah,
Because if you're in a monthly cadence,
yeah,
right, that's a lot of
a
time.
lot of time.
That's 3 weeks that you can do nothing, right?
Yes,
Or you're
yes,
thinking, oh, I've got to do something. And
yes.
obviously, every day would be too much. But
No,
the weekly cadence seems to be just right to maximize
right,
the results everyone gets.
right,
Yeah.
right.
We did a study. It was a while ago, but there was a study done, and there was 52. We had chapters long time ago that met every 2 weeks. They passed 52% less business than that weekly cadence. So it's just kind of interesting as well.
Yeah.
So if a promotional products person from another area was looking at BNI, what advice would you give them?
You mean
So
wanting to
if someone
join or a
was looking
BNI
at
member?
I'm a promotional products person in Indianapolis. What advice would you give them as they're looking at BNI?
Oh, as they're looking at BNI?
Yeah,
Well, one, okay, so as a promotional product business, it is a very competitive market, right? So you have to make sure you stand out in the crowd. Um, and first of all, joining BNI definitely helps, but working at BNI is most important. Just because you join BNI does not mean anything, right? So, and as a promotional product, you got to be creative, to in your business. You have to know your business upside down. Then you can help your customer upside down, because once you know what your customer's business is, you're gonna find the perfect product for their business, and that's how you're gonna help. But being in BNI, working at BNI, visiting other chapters, definitely spread your word, spread the name of your business more and more. So if a person in Indianapolis, they can definitely visit a chapter or join a chapter and work at the BNI.
yeah, yeah, love it. The other thing that I love to share as well is you also become a solutions provider, right? If your
Mhm.
client needs something else
Yeah.
other than promotional products, you know somebody as
Oh,
well.
yeah, definitely. Like in my chapter, if I have a customer who does not have a website,
Yeah,
I became their source partner. I can resource them with so many things, or they are starting a new office and they need a painter or they need a floating person. I know someone. I became a great partner to connect with other people. So that is another good thing about BNI, is because you became your customers one source for everything,
Yeah, beyond just your business.
beyond
Absolutely.
just my business. That's right.
So anything else that you just feel like things people should know about your business or your experience so far?
I'm one of a kind.
Yeah, you are definitely one of a kind. There is no doubt about that. I just think about how easy it is for some, like you had to work for everything you got, and that is unbelievably impressive. Unbelievably impressive.
Well, I'm gonna show you something really cute.
Yeah.
Wait, since you talked about promotional product,
Yeah.
look, I was looking nice and pretty and bright because of this item. And it's an advertising item. You can put your logo here. It comes in many different colors, So
So you
that's what
look
I
at your phone, that becomes your light on your phone, and it's got your
yes,
promotional information.
exactly. You just clip it on, and right here,
And boom, you
and there
got
you
it. All set. Love it. And there are a million other things, right?
go. A million other things.
So important, though, that you talk with someone in promotional items because about what your business is, who your client is, because they can give you some really, really great ideas on other ways you can, really creative ideas on things that people will keep around instead of just your traditional items.
Yeah, that's what I look at it, because remember, I came with only $20, so I understand the value of money. If you're gonna spend even a $5 or a $1 on a promotional or advertising, I want to make sure that that product serves its purpose. Your purpose is to promote your business, right? So, and that's my tagline, promotion with a purpose. That's my purpose, to give you the perfect item, no matter what budget it is.
Oh, I love it. So, okay. So a few takeaways. I like to sum things up a bit. Number one, I do love that you think about the budget, the value, all of those things that's actually going to bring as you go through just your story of how you got to where you are, of just keep going, right? You just keep going, even if you have to start small because you've got another priority, start it and get it going and keep going and keep going and keep going. And then I love how you were able to really feel confident in a pitch competition because you had practiced with your BNI members and the value that they helped you clarify, and just the confidence that brought to you.
Yeah, confidence was the biggest thing for me. It was really, I am my personality is confident personality, and I am a talker. So it doesn't, but my biggest hurdle was to get out of that, not being able to present properly. Once I got that out, because of speaking every Wednesday morning, pitching in front of other people, and made a lot of mistakes, but repeating made me better and gave me that confidence. Yeah,
absolutely. And then lastly, has BNI been a pretty good ROI for you in terms of the number of referrals you've received?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have gained so many businesses, and it's not just one referral, but then referral gives you another referral, and referral gives you another referral. I have made some really good friends through BNI. Oh my gosh. I don't worry about anything anymore. Tomorrow, if something happens to my house, I know who to call. Something happens to my roof, I know who to call. I am just totally worry free in that area, because I have great partners in BNI. So
yeah, I love that. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. It's been such a pleasure having you on the show today. And just thank you for continuing to do what you are doing. I love hearing the success stories of small businesses, because we are the ones that kind of keep everything going and moving in, the big businesses are great too, but the small businesses, I think, are heroes we always need to recognize.
Yeah, one time I had heard that, it is great to, I would love to have a large corporation to do business with me, but if you got one large corporation as a customer, imagine what would happen if something goes wrong with that corporation. It's better to have 100 small business and few large corporation than just have one large corporation buying your stuff.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for being on the call with me today. And thank you all for watching the show as well. Thanks for joining me today on this week's Meaghan Chitwood Live, powered by BNI. Next week, we will have Nicole Stiltner on the call. She is with Legal Journeys. She is an attorney. She is an attorney who is unbelievably passionate about making sure that her clients are completely taken care of. She has done some wild things to make sure that everyone in her sphere is taken care of when it comes to their legal needs as well. And I can't wait for you to hear her story and how much she cares about her clients. Until then, have a great week.